ask God to really join us here. So, Heavenly Father, Lord, I am fairly humbled by this house full of beautiful women. And Lord, I pray that as we all come together, that you may be made great and holy and glorious in this time of discussion, and that we may draw near to you. May we be known by you, and may we be known by each other. And I thank you that all this is possible because your Son took our shame to the cross and paved the way for us to have direct communion with you, where we can be naked and unashamed before you, Lord. What a privilege. I just ask that you anoint this time, that you take anything that comes out of my mouth that is my flesh, my humanness, that you will just rearrange that and correct it and redeem it. And we thank you in your precious Son's name. Amen. All right, so I am so ashamed that I have not been here until I had to be a speaker. It's one way to get me here, but I'm really honored. And I got to tell you, like, I go through this process of, speaking at a women's retreat or whatnot. Like, if I'm not given the topic, like, talk about this or whatnot, like, I go through this torture of what do I talk about? Like, what's important to these women? Who will be there, and what ages, and like, we're just contemplating. And I got to tell you, Reese, I don't remember when you and I talked about this, like last April or something like that. And so it's been percolating, and I've been thinking, oh, I'll talk about this. Oh, I'll talk about that. Oh, no, let's talk about this. And sort of bouncing all over the place. And I finally, sometime in August, just made this connection that was so like astounding to me. And I thought, I've got to share this. So I will tell you that was like, almost 2 months ago, and it hasn't changed. So I'm hoping that is God's anointing on this subject matter. And I'll just give you a little bit of a teaser, and we'll just drop some breadcrumbs along the way. I'm actually not going to have you open your Bibles. I'm going to be talking from Scripture. Is that fair? Okay. If C.S. Lewis takes some creative license, I'm thinking I can too. So, where I was in August was thinking about, what is that thing? Like, if there's one thing that gets in the way, that is an obstacle in our relationships, in our marriages, with ourselves, with God. That one thing that tends to separate us, and that one thing that is at the root of just this whole list of questions that I hear in my friendships, I hear in my relationships, I hear in my work. And I started to write some things down. Questions like, why do I feel so alone? Why am I so profoundly lonely when I'm surrounded by people? Why can't I figure out how to be a part of the church? I long for this community, but I can't seem to find that community. Why do I find it so hard to change? Why can't I let go? Why do I get so angry? Why do I feel so anxious in my marriage, in my friendships, at work, with my boss? Why am I so filled with anxiety about my children? Why do I struggle with food, with my body image? Why do I struggle with what people think of me? Why do I struggle with alcohol? Why do I struggle with shopping? Okay, we're just going to go like right into the deep end of the pool here. Why can't I just go it alone? Like, why do I need people? Like, why can't I just be just be on my own? Why do I have to depend on anybody? And then this is the other thing, it's kind of interesting because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, yeah, I would much rather be sitting there, just sitting back, and how many people don't take a risk and say, oh, I'm not a creative person, and I do better behind the scenes. I'm a behind the scenes kind of person. Why do we hear those things? And so I got to thinking, what is that thing? Because there's got to be something when we think about how God wired us together that hooks all of this and that underlies these questions of pain. These are questions of pain, loneliness, anxiety, fear, complexity, on and on, right? And I got thinking, maybe it's presumptuous, but could all of these questions be answered with one similar root? Now, I don't want to be oversimplistic because the human experience is really complicated. But if we were to just look at one root, and so I'm not coming here tonight to talk about your marriage. I'm not coming here tonight to talk about parenting. I'm not coming here tonight to talk about your relationship with your body. I'm not coming here tonight to talk about your sexuality or your necessarily your spiritual walk or any of that. I want to talk about this one thing that I think is so profound, and I think that it is explained when we go back, way back, to the first human interactions that happened in the Garden of Eden with God, between the man and the woman, and then this thing that enters, which is the serpent, and what he brings with him. And so, I think you know this story, you could recite it. Obviously, I'm going to narrate it just a little bit differently. But let's start Genesis chapter 2, where we know this, where God says, let us make man in our own image. Let us make man in our own image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. Male and female, he created them. And he says to them, be fruitful and multiply. Name the creatures, tend to all of creation. So I'm going to link us back, but it's going to take us a while to make this big loop back. But made man in his own image, in his likeness. We created. And then to man, saying, be fruitful. Create, right? Create yourself. Be fruitful. Multiply. Name the creatures. And Adam and Eve are doing their thing, or the man and the woman. We'll just call them Adam and Eve. They weren't named that yet. You all know that. And then just a little bit further in Genesis 2, we come across the making of the woman. And why does God say it was very good? And the man and the woman were in the garden, and they were naked and unashamed. That started to really catch my attention. Why not naked and joyful? Why not naked and peaceful? Why not naked and happy? Or as one of my male colleagues said, if I was naked in the garden with my wife, unashamed isn't coming to my mind. Thank you, Ed. Oh, but think about that. Just let that maybe just seep in just a little bit. Why naked and unashamed? It's so important. Why made in our image, created in our image, in our likeness I created, and then create. Man and woman create. Name the creatures. And so this thing that we're going to talk about is what then enters in the part of the story we know, again, very well from one perspective. And that is Genesis 3. And the woman begins this interaction with the serpent. And I'm going to ask you, again, like I said, C.S. Lewis got to do this in the Screwtape Letters, so I'm going to do it here. Let's not look at this story kind of with our left brain, so to speak, on the factual, with the words, but more from the right brain, the creative part of us that can like feel this, have a felt experience with this story, because what I'm believing is Satan, as the serpent in the scriptures, in your translation, is called crafty. He uses trickery. He is deceitful. And I think it's fair to say that those tactics are so powerful and so effective, he hasn't needed to change them. And so, what the woman experienced and the man experienced in the garden is still the same human experience we have. So, let's enter our story. And Satan, in the serpent, slithers or whatever up to Eve, right? And his first question is, do I really understand that God told you not to eat of any of those trees? So right away, this thing that so captures us, so easily entangles us, enters right there in that one question. And what is he doing to Eve? He's saying to her, this God of yours, you need to start doubting. He doesn't have good for you. You need to start doubting him. Is he really trustworthy, Eve? Did he really say to you, you can't eat of any of these trees? There's also another piece going on in which he is now messing with not only her memory, but her perception. He is bringing into her field, sort of a psychological term, bear with me, I can't help myself. He's bringing into her field this tree that we have no indication that they were even preoccupied with. We have no indication that the man and the woman were sitting around going, that tree, oh my, I want that tree. You know, come on, Adam, let's just they were just believing God. He told us not, we can eat from all these trees, but that one, they trusted him. But then just think about this on a level, those of you who are married, have partners, boyfriends, or just think about this. Somebody comes up to you, and I'm going to say that there's an individual in my life, it was actually a man, that this happened to in the grocery store. But I'm going to flip-flop it because we're all girls here. But somebody comes up to you in the grocery store, let's say, and says to you, did your husband tell you that he was just friends with his coworker? Right? Like you feel that, right? Like, whoa, my gosh. Like, oh, that's that. I think I might pass out. Right? Like my vision is blurring. I don't know if I'm going to get it out of the grocery store without throwing up. Like that gut punch. Because what has it done? It's now messing with my perception of my husband's trustworthiness, his fidelity, his faithfulness to me. And it's messing with this place in which now I'm doubting. I'm doubting his goodness, his commitment to me. And Satan is doing that with Eve. And I will tell you, we're not going to focus a lot on this because I only have a little bit of time, but he first starts on a fear level. Like this is an emotional, neuroaffective thing that he introduces fear. That's what doubt is. It's this fear, I'm not trusting anymore. And that is fear-provoking, because when we don't trust, we can't predict. And when we can't predict, we're very fearful. Okay. And it's interesting how this fear starts to get provoked. But the woman isn't fearful that she's in a garden talking to a serpent. Right? Okay? Like, that's not where the fear is. That would be my fear. Like, get a snake. But that's not the fear. So, I don't know. I don't know why I added that, but I just had it. And I actually typed it out. Her fear is because a wedge has been driven between what she had previously known of her God and now what's being introduced to her about her God. That's the fear. So let's go on in the story. You will remember that Eve now starts to interact with the serpent. Usually our first mistake. But she starts to interact with him, and she says, no, he told us we could eat from all of these trees except for that one in the middle of the garden. And we are not to eat of it, and we are not to touch it, for we would surely die. So going back, and those that you were following along, even in your Bibles or in your mind, God never told her not to touch it. But this doubt comes in, and it starts to mess with our memory. And we start, when we get activated emotionally, and we try to go up here and grab onto the facts, they will now be distorted. They will, for all of us. When we get into this neuroaffective cascade of biochemistry and emotions and fear, that now I can't think straight. So, is your husband really just friends with that coworker? Now I am so flooded that I can't even think about who my husband is. I can't even think about how I know this man and for 25 years, and has he ever been unfaithful? Like, I can't access any of that. And I would say that Eve couldn't either. And so she takes the story even further with the introduction of Satan's doubt. Oh, and we're not to touch it either. Hey, that wasn't in God's command. Maybe it was, but it's not written. And so, serpent says, oh, you won't surely die? Come on. Really? Really? Did he really say you would die? That's ridiculous. You surely won't die. Eve, you know, this God of yours, he's so distant. He just wants to restrict you. He's untrustworthy. Yeah, just beware. Like, you put your faith in something that, you may be foolish, Eve. You may be foolish. And in an interesting way, when the serpent says, oh, you surely won't die, do not think for a minute that he is just introducing some more factual things to Eve. Those are not facts. Those are, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to mess with your memory and your perception and your cognition and your faith. And I'm going to place doubt. And then there is this place where if we just let this sort of seep in, there is something in which there is this message that the serpent says that is like, Eve, woman, how could you be so stupid? How could you be so stupid to think, eat of that tree? Give me a break. You're not going to die. How could you be so deceived? How could you be so stupid? You're naive. naive and gullible and ignorant, and yeah, he's just going to work on her. And now fear is now turning into shame. Into shame. God doesn't have your best interest for you. How could you be so stupid? How could you be so naive? He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about your needs. And the interesting thing is that this tree then enters that becomes the focal point of the story. And bear with me here, because I'm not totally sure I was able to wrap my head around it, let alone be able to express it to you. That this tree becomes the object and it has this positive balance put all over it, and in which he's saying, oh, it's good, it's tasty, it's yummy. Like there's this tantalizing appetite that he's whetting for her. And I think that underneath that is this message that you can only find real satisfaction. You can only find real joy, real happiness outside of yourself. And in this case, it's the fruit. In our case, it might be what we look like, how much money we make, how many children we have, what our husband does. Do we have a husband? Do we not have a husband? What I do for work, the house I live in, the car I drive. It can be all sorts of other ways in which a fruit is hung out there that you will be worth something if you have that piece of fruit, whatever that is. And that thing moves around on us, because as soon as we have it, we're empty. And those are some of the loneliest moments in life, in which we just achieved what we thought would deliver the greatest of satisfactions, and we've been left feeling empty. And now what? We'll just let that percolate, see where that goes in your discussion. The other part of this that I think Satan uses with the fruit is he's saying to Eve, now this gets twisty, we'll think about this another way because I think it goes two different directions, both evil. But he's saying to her, God is trying to restrict you. He's trying to deprive you of something. You deserve better. You don't deserve to be deprived. You deserve better. You deserve better. He is dismissing your needs. Woman, he's dismissing your needs. He's abandoning you. He doesn't care about what you need. He doesn't have you in his consideration. And in that, there's this slippery message that God's in this place in which he wants power. He wants to be the boss of you. Eve, are you going to be that stupid, that naive, that pitiful to let him be the boss over you? Come on, Eve, come on. You don't want somebody to be the boss over you. You eat of that fruit, you'll be like God. You'll have power. You'll have power. You'll be your own boss. Your own boss, Eve. And through this crafty use of fear, separating her from her trust in God and placing doubt about God's goodness toward her, in the dense fog of shame, what happens? She eats of the fruit. And now enters the man for the first time. But you're going to draw our attention to this, is that if we could rewind the tape, and if this could be written differently, if we might have an opportunity to learn from Eve's pain and the profoundness of what happened in this narrative, is, did it ever occur to Eve, wow, I'm feeling really frightened right now and I'm really confused. This serpent's talking to me and it is like hitting me in this way, like I don't know what to think, like I feel sick, I'm like want to lose consciousness, like I want to pass out, like I'm questioning myself, I'm doubting God, I'm really swirling around in this place in which I don't know which end is up. And had she been able to like feel what she was feeling, not what she was thinking, because that was already distorted, but dialing into what she was feeling, perhaps she could have gone to the man and said, hey Adam, so like I'm in the garden, and like there's this serpent talking to me. And he's saying things like, we should like not trust God, and that we shouldn't be eating of any of the fruit of the tree. And did God really say that? Because now I don't remember, and I'm really frightened, and help me with this. But she doesn't do that. We see her eat, seeing it was good and tasty and pleasing, and gave it to her husband, who ate. And then, many of us know, the next sort of turn in the story is that their eyes were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And there's this great exchange that happened from being known by God, God being known by them, being known with each other, and now they know. But now begins this whole unfolding domino effect of now I don't any longer want to be known, because I know I'm naked. And now this sense of being unashamed, I don't even know what that is. And so I'm going to take my leaves, we're going to sew this together, right? They hide from each other. And then God's really silent. He's really silent for this first part of Genesis 3. And I have to wonder, like I look at that and think, what's he doing during all of this? Like, why didn't he intervene? And those are theological questions. Please don't ask me. I don't know. But eventually, the scripture, when God enters again, it says that he's walking. God is moving. He was always moving. He was there moving. And I have to wonder if he was thinking, oh, my heart is broken. Will they come to me? Will they find me? Will they reach out to me for help? Will they reach out to each other for help? And they don't. They're too busy hiding because they now know. They now know. And now it's horrifying to be known. And God finds them. Where are you? This is not, you might as well come out from hiding because I know what y'all did. Right? I mean, he doesn't say that. Where are you? And the man says, I heard you. I heard you, God. And I got afraid because we're naked. Because I'm naked. And God's next question to him, who told you that? Right? Where are you and who told you that? And we'll fast forward. This is such an important part of the story. I don't see God shaming them. I don't see him rubbing their nose in it. He sews together skins from sacrificed animals, like this precursor to Christ, and covers their nakedness. And he's still doing that. He's still doing that for us. The sacrifice of Christ covers their nakedness, doesn't further shame them, and begins this whole story of redemption. So, I just want to go back quickly before we turn the corner from the bad news to more bad news that, depending on how you want to take it, could be good news. So I want you to think about, that sounds so demanding, like I invite you to think about that going back and how this all emotionally is manipulated is that fear enters. Doubt God's trustworthiness, doubt yourself, doubt God, doubt Adam, doubt. And then fear leads to shame. Shame leads to hiding. Hiding is isolated, it's lonely, and it's very frightening. And in our fear, it leads to more hiding, which leads to more shame, which leads to more fear. And we have this vicious circle. I should go this way for y'all that are looking at me, but this vicious circle that just the shame begets shame, fear begets fear, fear begets shame, and shame begets fear, and all of it leads to this place in which I'm isolated, I'm removed, I might be in a whole room of beautiful women and feel profoundly alone and not known. Not known. So, what do we do about this? And I'm going to tell you that the next part of this is also like terrifying. And it does require like this decision on our part. Mark Twain once said that courage is deciding that something is more important than the fear. And so this is the part in which you get to decide, is there something more important than the fear? Is there something more important than, the vulnerability to let myself be seen? Because there's two, this is really interesting, and I'll spare you some of the details, but I work a lot with couples. And I see this tension. It doesn't happen right away. But boy, once you start getting down into this relationship, there's this tension of this terrifying experience that you will see me and find out I'm me, and find me to be unworthy, and find me to be defective, and therefore reject me and abandon me. And yet, also deep down in the crevices of our being is this profound longing to be found, to be seen, to be known, for our skeletons, right? Our skeletons, our mistakes, our shame, our guilt, to come out from hiding and to be seen by another person, and that you are still found acceptable. That you're still found to be acceptable. That's profound. That's a profound safety. That's a profound safety as a human being. And we're so hungry for this deep human connection. How can I have that when I'm so busy hiding from you? Because I'm so scared you're going to find out I'm me. and who me is. Like, I know I'm a sinful person. It's like, look in here. I mean, my mind is like being trapped in a phone booth with a lunatic sometimes. Like, I don't want you to know that, right? But to think about, I want to go back for a minute, and the Hebrew word that is used in the garden for helpmate, Adam, God created a helpmate. So it's really interesting. It wasn't somebody to help with the laundry and the mowing. maybe, but I think that's probably a lesser degree. The Hebrew word infers and describes and expounds on that God created a woman to reflect the man back to himself. That's how we find connection, is when I let myself be seen to you and you reflect back to me who I am. And it can go one of two ways. One is the horrifying way, is that I'm going to be vulnerable, I'm going to take a risk, and it's going to require courage, but I'm going to just be a little naked, just a little exposed, and you can see some of the skeletons, and I have no idea what the outcome's going to be. I have no idea what you're going to do with that. Are you going to mock me? Are you going to humiliate me? Are you going to reject me? Are you going to talk about me to all your friends? Or am I going to let you see a little part of me, and in your eyes, I'm going to see empathy and compassion and love and acceptance. Acceptance. And this is an acceptance like, oh, Donna, I'm so delighted you're a heroin addict. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? But Donna, I made you into a heroin addict. Lucky you. I only do that to my friends. But that place of, wow, this must be so hard. How can I be with you in this? How can I be with you in this? And the human eye is designed to reflect, right? You talk to somebody close, you're reflected back at yourself in the human eye. I think that's incredible. And I think that place of being known is I'm going to get close enough to another person that I'm going to see myself in their eyes. And I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to be vulnerable. And I'm going to decide that there's something more important than the fear of being found out. And the fear of being found out is replaced by the delight of being found. The delight of being found. And so what does all this mean as followers of Christ? One, that's another talk. But I will say, until we are known by another, we don't know how to know another. And until we are known and we know, we cannot accurately know God. Because we will take our best and our worst experiences with inside of ourselves and with relationships, and we'll make it God out of that. It's the way the human heart, soul, mind works. And so there's this profound place of being known. There's also this place of knowing God. And we can make this choice of exchanging knowing. And some of us, like I talk here with as the church, like, oh, how factual we can be about God. But do we really know Him? Do we really know Him? Because that's a level that oftentimes there isn't language for. There isn't language for that. We just know. It's an effective experience that's deep down in the heart and in the soul. And I may never be able to find some language for it. Language may just insult it. So, your assignment is to make a decision. How much do I want to let myself be known? Because you're in charge of it. Well, let me tell you, not everyone gets to know you. Because not everyone is safe. And individuals who have not allowed themselves to be known are usually unsafe. Because what they will do, just like Eve, she had no idea about that fear and shame that was happening for her. And what we do when we are not aware of it in ourselves is we put it on everyone else around us. It goes one of two ways. Either I know I am such a dreadful mess that there's no way I'm going to let you see me. Or I am so completely unaware of what a mess I am that then I am going to be so judgmental of you, of other people. I'm going to put my shame. I'm just going to shame everyone out there. And that isn't safe. And so there's two pieces to this of, can you let yourself be known by a few really important somebodies? Not everybody. Not everybody. They have to earn the right. Right? They have to earn their right. That's a sacred space. The sacred space, there has to be this trustworthiness, at least that you can make a prediction that there's trustworthiness there. And the other piece is, are you an individual that can provide room and containment and safety and security and empathy and compassion and acceptance that another person can come out from hiding, can come out from loneliness, can come out from isolation, and be known? And can you, in your eyes, as you hear their story and hear about the skeletons and the guilt and the shame and the abuse and the abandonments and the rejections and all of the hurts, can you be someone that in your eyes you reflect back to them? Empathy. I'm with you. Can I be with you? Where are you? Because I will come be with you. I will come be with you. Thank you. There's so much more. I always feel like I learned so much putting this together, and I can only share just this little bit. So there's so much more. I have lined out a passage of scripture for you, Hebrews 1-2, that I think is so profound in leading you into the discussion. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off the sin and the weight and run this race with endurance, keeping our eyes fixed on Christ, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising its shame. Despising its shame. That's what your God did for you. And can we, in our community, in our friendships, in our families, can we be a great cloud of witnesses to each other? Thank you.